are cashing the F out tomorrow. I feel it, boys. I feel it because last week we swept. We swept the Best Bet show, and the only thing we can do this week is sweep again. I appreciate you for clicking on this video. This is the Hey Jive Picks YouTube channel, not only bringing you official picks every single week for every single fight on the card, but after I do my due diligence, I make all my bets that I have on UFC 304. In this case, I take a look and I just select 3 or 4 of them that I'm going to give out for free. A little free game for y'all. And, of course, the DFS plays that have been absolutely smacking, give those out for free as well because those are the money makers. We made like over $6,000 last week on the DFS plays. And if you watched that video, I didn't put it in that video because I was in Tampa. But if you watched that video last week, the Best Bet show last week, I gave out 4 bets and all 4 of them hit. And they weren't some chalky bets. They were not. They were plus money bets. Bruno Silva inside the distance, plus 320. Got it done. Steve Garcia, 2.8 unit play. Got it done. We're absolutely cashing, boys. We're absolutely cashing. Let's keep it going. UFC 304 Best Bet show. Let's take a look at the recap. Now, I just bragged a little bit because we weren't on the hottest streak. But we had an absolutely big week last week. So this is the recap. Started off okay. Bad 4 weeks in the red. And then we come up big last week. So in total, we're near even. So I'm not telling you to just tail blindly. But we were hot last week. Let's see if we can keep it going. Let's start it off, boys, with a money line. Now, I only got a few money line bets on this card, and they're all underdogs. Now, I don't really like to play chalk favorite as underdogs, especially when they're minus 200 or higher. So in that case, I usually try to find value on the dog, and in some cases I do. And in this one, I found value on the dog in Marcin Prachnio. Taking on Bukauskas, never rated Bukauskas. This dude went life and death with Zach Pauga, who's terrible. And then his other win is against Tyson Pedro, who was like near death's door when he fought that night. He should not have fought that night, and he got a win. Then you take a look at his UFC career before he got cut and then came back. Before he got cut, it was Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree was beating the brakes off of those legs. And that's a big weakness in this fight because Marcin Prachnio really loves to kick. And he really loves to kick legs. And that's really the majority of what he does. Okay, he's a karate guy who uses his kicks, has a very high output on the feet. And Bukauskas, on the other hand, doesn't have big power, doesn't have a lot of volume, doesn't have a good wrestling game. So I look at this like the fight's probably going to go to a decision, and I want the guy that's going to be throwing a lot more volume, just going to have more output. Last time Prachnio fought, he fought Devin Clark. He was like a plus 200 underdog. I thought that was absolutely insane because Devin Clark at times just doesn't shoot takedowns and elects to stand and strike with guys. And that was a bad decision because Prachnio is just gonna out-volume you for 3 rounds. And I think that's what he does here against Modestas Bukauskas. So I got Marcin Prachnio on the money line, plus 140 for 1 unit. Just can't get chinned. And he can't get wrestle-fucked. But I just don't see either of them happening. So I like it. From here, we move on to the underdog fantasy plays. Now, last week, I told you, made over $6,000 on the DFS apps. On Underdog alone, we hit a 4-legger here. 1 leg was voided because Jung Young Park did not fight. So we hit a 4-legger for $1,000. We hit a 5-legger for $2,000. And then we hit 2 2-leggers for $600 more. So if you do the math, that's $3,600 on one app in 1 week. So if you live in one of these yellow states, I highly suggest you download the app, use my code HeyJive, you get a deposit bonus up to $250, and you tail the plays that are on the next screen. There's a link down in the description if you would like to join. The plays this week, I'm going to have to move myself a little bit. We'll go over these first. The plays this week, we got 4 2-leggers. Paddy Pimblett. Now, this is a great line. I think the line has moved down. But Paddy Pimblett, not a high-volume striker, throws a lot of hooks, but he throws hard. I think there's a chance for an early finish in that one. And if Paddy can't get him out of there early, he's going to have to grapple. He cannot stand and strike with Bobby, so I don't see him racking up a bunch of significant strikes. Preston Parsons is a grappler. He's a wrestler. He doesn't throw a high output on the feet. It's probably going to be a grappling match. Oban Elliott is another solid wrestler. So I think they could just be going back and forth. I think the fight might go the distance. And even if it does, this line for Preston Parson has hit 2 of the last 2 decisions. He's gone under that in both of his last 2 fights that both went to a decision. So I like that. Then these right here are rivals in the rivals section. So they're going to add 15.5 significant strikes to Belal Muhammad's total once the fight is over. And if you look at Belal's track record, he's hit that in almost every single fight that he's ever had in the UFC. He keeps pace with strikers, and he's going to be looking for takedowns. And Leon, on the other hand, does not have a very high volume striking output. He's going to be looking to defend takedowns, kick the legs. He might rack up a bunch of leg kicks, which does scare me a little bit, but I think Belal should be able to get in on those entries, keep up with the volume. 15.5 is a lot, and Belal has covered that tremendously throughout his career, so I like that. And then on the other hand, Giga Chikadze plus 7.5. I think Arnold Allen's probably going to be looking for takedowns. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, so he's probably going to look for the path of least resistance. Giga is the longer guy who likes to use his kicks, so when they're at range, he can rack up those kicks. And plus 7.5 is a great number there too. So these are rivals section significant strike spreads, I guess you would call them. Dresky over on significant strikes, or higher than on significant strikes. He just throws a lot of output on the feet. Mick Parkin probably isn't going to feel it because he's like a big oaf and he doesn't really care. So I think Dresky fight probably goes to decision. He should probably get like 60, 70. And Alice Ardeline, she just throws a ton of output. She might gas out, we'll see, but she throws a ton of output, and Shauna Bannon is there to be hit. Look at the 5-legger here. 25x payout. Aspinall lower on significant strikes. You'll see this one on the next, or when we talk about better picks as well. I think Curtis Blades could take him down in round 1 and maybe just get top control. But when they're on the feet, he's going to clip him. That's what it is. He's going to clip him because Blades doesn't have the best chin when it comes to big power punchers, and Tom Aspinall is precise, and he's got real solid power and very good movement. I see him probably setting up a nice knockout, so we're taking him lower on significant strikes. Bruna Brazil, very, very low output striker, like unbelievably low. She never throws. She only throws kicks. And Molly McCann, I think, could probably get a knockout here, so I like the lower on her significant strikes. Pragnio, I already talked about that in the money line slide. Pragnio, higher on significant strikes, bro. Pragnio, like I said, just chews away with the kicks. Probably goes to decision. I could see him getting 60 or 70 there as well. Belal Muhammad, higher than 2.5 takedowns, is a boosted play on Underdog Fantasy. I mean, Leon got taken down by Kamaru 5 times and 4 times in their 2 5-round bouts. And then Colby took him down twice. And Colby really wasn't shooting that hard, and he had a broken foot. I think Belal knows he needs takedowns, and I think he can get over 2.5 pretty easily if the fight goes 5 rounds. Arnold Allen, lower on significant strikes as well. I already talked about him needing to grapple, I think, in this fight, and I don't really see him just kickboxing with Giga for 3 rounds. So, and he's not a high-volume striker. This one right here, Daniel Pineda, lower on significant strikes. Pineda is not a high-volume guy. He's going to go for it and then probably gas out. He could get an early finish, or he's going to gas out, end up on his back, or get knocked out lower there. And then Pragnio again in the rival section there pretty much explains everything that I talked about. Let's move on to a round prop. Over 2.5 rounds on the Oban Elliott and Preston Parsons fight, sitting at minus 130. I'm putting 2 units on it, man, mainly because I saw Oban Elliott, for one, take a big punch from Val Woodburn, who is a big dude, hits hard, took his best punches. Val Woodburn was gassed out, and Oban just laid on him for the next, 10.5 minutes? So, I mean, I don't really see Oban Elliott getting a finish here. And on the other side, Preston Parsons really isn't that potent of a finisher. All of his wins that he gets done inside the distance come by submission. I don't really see him picking up a submission here against Oban because Preston Parsons doesn't have a UFC submission. So you can see he's more of a grappler for control type of guy in the UFC. I don't see him fishing for submissions or really pushing for it. I think both guys got good enough cardio. I think it's probably going to be somewhat of a grappling match for 3 rounds. So I like the over 2.5 here at -130. I got 2 units on it. And we just pray that, no guy breaks a bone or something like that. That would suck. That's probably the worst way to lose an over. Overs are tough to bet in UFC because it makes you not want to watch the fight. But I think in this case, I think it's worth playing. Sometimes you got to put your feelings aside and just take the over. If it looks right, if everything checks out, you just got to take the over, then pucker your cheeks for 12.5 minutes. Just what you got to do. Sometimes you got to take that sacrifice. The fight fan in you wants to watch the fight and wants to see a nice finish, but you got money down on it. You got to sit back and just relax. From here, I will ask you to join the Home of Fight Picks Premium membership. Last week, we went up nearly 10 units. We hit Cody Gibson submission plus 400. We hit Verna Jandiroba round 2 finish plus 900. We hit Bruno Silva round 2 finish plus 1,000. Those are all plays that I gave in the Home of Fight Picks Premium membership. And then, like I said, I also gave out Bruno Silva inside the distance plus 320. Free game here on the Best Bets show. But those plays were not given out here on the Best Bets show. Those plays are in the Home of Fight Picks Premium membership. Last week, coming off a big card, and UFC pay-per-views have historically been very good to me throughout 2024. I think there's only 2 cards that I didn't profit on, and 2 of those cards, I think it was UFC 301, was like my second most profitable card of the year. Positive over 25 units on the year. So we're looking good, boys. We're looking good. Join up there. You can join for a week, a month, a year. I think you could join for. Join up in there. We also do some member lives in there where I'll just sit in here. You hop in. You ask me some questions. We'll talk about the fights. If you got any questions on anything, or if you got a bet that I'm on, you see a bet that I'm on and you got a question about it, I can give you an explanation there. So good stuff going on there. There's a link down in the description to join that as well. You can use my code HeyJob for $5 off. And from there, we move on to a parlay. I'm going with Molly McCann and Colin Loughran. I think Molly McCann is getting set up big time here for a win. And I think she's actually pretty decent. For the strawweight division, I think she's pretty decent. Always been undersized at 125. She looks like she's taken her career very seriously now that she has to cut down to 115. She looks like she's in great shape. On the other hand, Bruna Brazil, 1-2 in the UFC, and her one loss before her win to Denise Gomes, she got knocked out. Then she beat Shauna Bannon, who's also on this card and is absolutely terrible. And she didn't even beat her. It was a close fight. That says a lot. Bruna Brazil is just very, very low output. Doesn't really go for takedowns. If she does, she doesn't have great top control, doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. And Molly McCann should be able to out-volume her on the feet. She should be able to hit her a lot harder. I think she can get takedowns on Bruna Brazil. So I think Molly McCann is just getting real set up here for a win. She is in the parlay. And then on the other hand, Colin Loughran. It's short notice for Jake Hadley. I know Jake Hadley missed weight by 1 pound, which I always hate betting on guys who are facing a guy that missed weight. But in this case, it's short notice. He's normally a 125er, so it's not like he's normally a 135er and then cut down and he's just like, nah, I'm just not going to cut the weight to try to get an advantage. I don't know. We'll see. I think Hadley, just looking at this, is doing the UFC a favor. I think he's like 2-3 in the UFC. He probably wants another contract, or at least to be in the good graces with the UFC. And he's a good fighter, but I think Colin Loughran is granite chin. I think he's got really fast hands. I think he's got underrated power, and I think his wrestling game is what's really going to help him in this fight, because Hadley, not a great takedown defense, does have a decent jiu-jitsu game off of his back, but I think Colin Loughran should be able to stay safe. If he's in trouble on the feet, he can get takedowns, and on the feet, I think he might hit a little bit harder, puts together a good combination. So Molly McCann, Colin Loughran, parlay, -111 for 2 units. I think that's a cash, boys. I think that's a cash. From here, we move on to the better picks. Once again, these are all slips from last week's plays. All from last week. Now, the 4 two-leggers that I gave out all hit. Went 8-0 on the two-leg slips. And then we also hit this nice 7-leg slip to turn $50 into $2,500. So if you're in one of these purple states, what are you doing? download the Betr Picks app. Use the code HeyJive to get a deposit bonus up to $250. That link is also down in the description. And this week, we got a UFC 304 special where you throw Leon Edwards over a half of a minute on fight time, and it's an automatic winner. You can put it together on a 2-leg, a 3-leg, doesn't matter. But that's just a free square. It's a nice little promo for you guys to get a little free action down. It's a 99% off. So, I mean, I guess it could not hit, but, I mean, it's Leon versus Bilal. It's probably going to last 30 seconds, you know. So, nice little action there. And we absolutely cooked last week, so let's continue to do that with these plays. We already talked about Aspinall. I also like Makayev lower on significant strikes. He's gone under this number in every single one of his UFC fights except his last one. I think it might be a little bit of recency bias. But in this fight against Kopp, the dude's going to need to shoot takedowns. I don't think he's going to waste any time trying to strike with Minnow Kopp. If he does, that'd be a real big mistake because I don't think he can stand and strike with Kopp. So he's going to be crotch sniffing from the jump. So I don't think he racks up many significant strikes at all. And yeah, I like that one. We already talked about Aspinall. It's 2-leg. Talked about Prachnio. I'm taking this Kiefer Crosby line to go over 12.5 significant strikes because Crosby landed 39 significant strikes in his UFC debut in a fight where he got finished in the first round. Now, based on the odds, people think he's going to get finished in the first round. But even if he does, he landed 39 in his UFC debut. And why? Because the guy just goes for it. He's going to go in there swinging. He's going to chop leg kicks. So even if Patterson submits him in the first round, he's already shown he can get almost 40 significant strikes in a round, in less than a round. So the line at 12.5 just seems way too low to me. He's a high-volume guy, and I don't think Patterson has great wrestling to start out with. So I could see this fight playing out for 1, 2, 3 minutes on the feet and then some action on the ground. And I think Crosby hits the over within the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So I like his over there. We already talked about Parsons. I also think Bukauskas goes over just because I don't see a lot of grappling in this fight and I see it going the distance. But, you know, I like Prachnio's over a little bit more. But I did take Bukauskas over on significant strikes there. And then Obon Elliott, kind of the same reasons with Preston Parsons because I think it's going to be a grappling match. And then this little 8-legger, $50 to win $5,000. Let's hit it, boys. I mean, these are all lines that I like. All lines that I like. Didn't really force anything. And we go 8 for 8. We win $5,000. We hit the 7-leg last week. So let's hit the 8-leg this week. Once again, take a look at the map. You're in one of these purple states. Hit the link in the description. Join Betr Picks. Lock these in, and let's make some money. Lastly, or the last bet I'll give you, I got a prop bet. I'm taking Molly McCann, the meatball, the lean ball nowadays, by KO/TKO. It's sitting at plus 230. I'm putting 0.5 units on it. Now, the last 2 best bets show we've hit our prop bet. Last week was Bruno Silva inside the distance, plus 320. The week before that was John Silva inside the distance, plus 130 for a unit. And I like this one, man. I mean, Bruna Brazil, 3 of her 4 losses come by knockout. And if you watch her on tape, every time someone actually enters, you know, the void, they enter the void, Bruna Brazil doesn't know what to do. She just backs up with her chin like this. She's just backing up. She doesn't circle out. She doesn't create an angle to counter. She just backs up. And I think the pressure of Molly McCann is probably going to get to her. I also think if Molly gets her down to the ground, she can land some pretty good ground and pound. We saw it in the Belbita fight. She went into full mount, landed some really nice elbows, softened her up, and then got the armbar. But that's Diana Belbita, man. You can armbar Diana Belbita. I think she's been armbarred a few times. And I think Bruna Brazil is probably just going to cover up. She's a girl that just doesn't do well in the chaos. She's soft, man. She's just soft. Cute girl, but like she's soft. I think Molly McCann could probably break her and get the KO/TKO. And every time she's fought in England or in the UK, I should say, in the UK with Patty on the card, she's got a knockout. So let's keep the trend going. Plus 230. Sign me up all day. Plus, or for a half a unit there. Now, lastly, I'll ask you to join the free Telegram channel. Why? Because all those plays, all those DFS plays that I showed you, the Underdog fantasy plays and the Betr picks plays, they're all posted in there. Absolutely free. There's also a link down in the description for that. Free to join. You'll get all those plays that were on the screen in an image, so you can put them in, and you don't have to like pause it on this video. It's just easier for you guys that are watching the video that want to put those plays in. They're on there. I post them there. I'll pin it there, so they're there. And then we also give out some free plays every now and then as well. So join that. Link down in the description. Join up the Jive Gang. Let's make some money, boys. Appreciate y'all for watching. If you did watch and you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. That would be much, much appreciated. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We're filming the vlog as well. We're filming the vlog for this week. Last week's vlog was super fun. Hopefully you enjoyed. This week's vlog should be a good ton of fun as well. Going to the studio to watch with the boys. We got a good, nice little setup. So let's cash some bets. Let's cash some bets. Till next time, Hey Jive Picks, signing out.